Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome back for another episode of First Canada Live. Oh my goodness, everything is happening in the world of first today. We just came off provincial. There was a big team update. It's all happening right now. But before we get started, it's as Canadians, it is very important to recognize the land of which we are a part. As we gather for this meeting, physically dispersed and virtually constructed, let us take a moment to reflect on the meaning of place, and in doing so, recognize the various traditional lands on which we celebrate today. We acknowledge the elders and youth, past, present, and emerging of all the land on which we work and live. We honor the ancestral spirits with gratitude and respect. We acknowledge this land out of respect for the Indigenous nations who have cared for Turtle Island, also called North America. The Indigenous people have been gifted the role of caretakers of this land before the arrival of settler people until today. But most importantly, we remember the history of these lands and people that have been tainted by poor treatment and a lack of friendship with the First Nations who called Canada home before it was given this name. This history is something that everyone is affected by. We are all treaty people in Canada, and we all have a shared history to reflect on, and each of us is affected by this history in different ways. Our past defines our present, but if we move forward as friends and allies, it does not define our future. All right, folks. Well, to get us started, we need a co-host. So who better to be our co-host than from the Youth Council? She's a student on the Markham Firebirds from Markham, Team 7902. It's Rachel. How's it going, Rachel?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Rachel, I'm doing great. How was your FRC season?
It was great, and I got to meet so many people, and it was very unfortunate that I wasn't able to go to the provincials.
Yeah, I mean, Provincials is a great event, but did you have a chance to watch the live stream from home?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was great.
It's one of those things. If you can't attend one of our events in person, there's always ways to be involved outside of that. Watching the webcast is a great way to do that. So, uh, it's been a good year, but on today's show, we've got a lot going on. It's a recap of our provincial championship. So, Rachel, everything that you might have missed in person, we're going to tell all the stories, and we're going to get your viewpoints as someone who watched the live stream. So, that's going to be really fun. For everyone who is watching at home live today, if you have any questions for us, drop them into the Twitch chat. We'll answer them live on air, especially when we start talking about the updates to this year's game. We'll, happy to answer any questions folks might have about that as well. But of course, folks, remember, we're here to have fun and celebrate excellence in our community. So let's just keep the talk positive and focus on all the good things that have been happening. Before we get started here, I think it's important to go through our Youth Council Wellness moment. So Rachel, what do you have for us today?
For today's wellness moment, I think I suggest everyone to do something fun every day, such as socializing with a new friend, and also pay attention to what you can do to address your most unhealthy habit. And remember that routine is more important than you think.
Oh, that's some good advice. Rachel, I'd love to know, what was something fun you did today?
Today, I celebrated my birthday with my friends, and it was great because we had like a little party at school, and I was able to, like, my classmates were really happy, and we basically all cheered. And I also had a lot of tests today, so it was like good things and also, stuff that happened.
Well, it's nice to have those good things to kind of counteract the more stressful things like stress or assignment, like tests or assignments or deadlines. So that's always really nice. My fun thing is I went for a walk through the park and we saw a bunch of robins. So that's pretty cool. But I think like my real big fun thing is like, did you actually just say it's your birthday today?
Yes.
Well, happy birthday, Rachel. First Canada Live birthday style, everyone. That's super,
Thank you.
super exciting. I would sing, but I don't think that's really a gift. So we'll hold off on the singing, but happy birthday, Rachel.
Yeah, sorry for the surprise.
No, it's a good surprise. Birthday surprises are the best, it's fabulous. So on today's show, it's time to jump into our news updates. Just a reminder, First Canada Live, this is our second last episode of the season. So we're going to be off for the next couple of weeks because of the first championship in Houston. But we'll be back on May 2nd with a wrap-up of the championship. We're going to be going over all the Canadian success stories from championship. And you might be like, what Canadian success stories? I'm like, well, we don't know what they are yet, but we know there will be some because our Canadian teams are so ready for this championship. So it's going to be a fabulous event in Houston. So that's going to be fabulous right there. Reminder, folks, if you want to join the Ontario team Slack to stay up to date with what's going on in Ontario and communicate with all the other Ontario teams, hit the link in Slack right now. And for all our alumni, if you didn't sign up at the first alumni social at the Provincial Championship, here's your chance right now to join the First Canada Alumni LinkedIn group. So that link's dropping in right there. Also, we've talked a little bit about the First Championship. If you want to watch the First Championship live, it'll be on the First Inspires Twitch channels. If you go to the link in chat, in a couple days, it'll be updated with the specific channels for where everything's streaming. And hey, there's going to be one main channel where you can watch all the fields at the same time, hopping around. And guess who's going to be hosting that channel, Rachel? Do you know who's going to be hosting on that channel?
I'm gonna take a wild guess. I think Karthik.
That's right. I'll be there with the folks from the Robo Sports Network. We'll be there all weekend long, giving you red zone style coverage, jumping from field to field, doing match analysis in between. We'll even be covering all 8 divisions alliance selections simultaneously on Saturday morning, which is what I'm most excited about. That's the most fun, just going through every single pick as it happens live. So I'll be down in Houston for that. So it's going to be a good time. It's going to be really good. The other news update I want to talk about, and actually okay, we'll do it right now. Team update 21 was just posted, folks, and it's a big one. So what it says is, number one, the RP threshold to get the sustainability bonus requires teams to get 6 links now, not 5. So 6 links or 5 with co-op, as opposed to 5 links and 4 with co-op. So they've upped that standard because teams have been scoring so much. But the other big one is you can now score more than one object on a node in the charge station if you have filled the grid up. So so you can do it at any point, but once you fill the grid, you get a bonus 3 points for every second object that is placed in a node. So that means you can double score. You can double score cones, you can double score cubes. In the hybrid node, you could do a cone and a cube, or 2 cones or 2 cubes. It is wild. This has kind of been brought to address the fact that there were some full grids seen this past weekend. 0.8% of the matches had a full grid, and I think people were envisioning that number to go up significantly, especially once the playoffs start in Houston. So you can score more now, folks. It really it is advantageous for teams who are very good low scorers, because guess what? It's 3 extra points for every node, no matter if it's high, middle, or low. So you can now get 3 points for a low object. And so for these teams who are really good at scoring low, that's a real opportunity there. Might slightly devalue the autonomous scoring, because you only get 1 extra bonus point for that. But it incentivizes you to fill the grid, and it means that if 2 alliances can fill the grid, it's not just like going to be like a tie or anything like that. It's just you can keep on scoring beyond. So it's going to really give an advantage to those teams that can fill the grid quickly. So Rachel, I know this is brand new. It just happened a couple hours before the show. Any thoughts on this?
I mean, these are so many important notes, and I was just trying to process it in my head and make sure to take some notes and update it.
Yeah, I think for teams, it's just be ready for the change. And again, most matches it's not going to affect, because it only affects a match once you have filled the grid, meaning having scored 27 game pieces. Overall this season, that only happened 43 times, so it has not happened often. But in Houston, when you have so many great teams, especially the playoffs, it might be something that happens very often. I don't know. At our provincial championship, where we have some of the best teams, out there, it only happened once in playoffs and once in qualifications. It actually happened more times at McMaster than it did here. So, which we'll talk a little bit about when we get into our charged up discussion. But all things to be thinking about. All those teams that have the placement automated will have to go manual. That's right. If you're trying to stack a cone on top of a cone, that's going to be harder. For all the teams who relied on the vision tape to stack cones, well, when you're going to stack that second one, you won't be able to rely on the vision tape because it'll be hidden. So that's definitely where you're going to have to go very manual. So it's some interesting things there. How do you get 2 cubes into a node, especially the middle and higher nodes, without them falling off? Low scoring really incentivized. It's a big change. It's a very big change, but we'll see. It's a lot to absorb right now. So a lot of things are happening, but that's cool. All right, folks, we're going to be back to talk more about week 6 and our provincial championship in just a moment. But before we do that, let's take a look at a word from one of our sponsors, Enbridge Gas.
Manufacturing is the cornerstone of our economy. However, it is one of the largest contributors to greenhouse gas emissions. There are a multitude of solutions, including energy efficiency, low carbon technologies such as renewable natural gas, geothermal, and hydrogen, and they all play a part in the transition towards a clean energy future.
A specific example of how Enbridge is leading the energy transition is leveraging our storage assets where we've been safely storing natural gas for 75 years, and to now look at those same assets to store new things such as hydrogen.
There are areas that you just can't electrify efficiently. So for instance, the making of steel, where they use gas or coal as part of the process itself. You have to use something that's to replace those elements, and hydrogen fits the bill.
It's just beginning. We're starting to scale up pilot projects and demonstration projects to utility scale size and implement real change.
Okay, we're back, and now it's time to welcome our special guest onto the show. She's a First Canada MC and First Canada alum, 2022 North Bay Volunteer Appreciation Award winner, and you saw her all over the place at the provincial championship, none other than Sydney Lamori. Hello, Sydney.
Hi.
How are you doing, Sydney?
I'm doing good, but you know what? I'm doing even better knowing it's Rachel's birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rachel. Happy birthday to you.
Woo!
Thank you so much.
I'll sing badly anytime I can, especially when my voice is going. I think it sounds better.
Oh, Sydney, your singing voice is so much better than mine. So I really thank you for doing the happy birthday, because I was not going to do it for Rachel. It just would have been too bad. Sydney, I need to know, you are like I describe you often to people as a giant ball of energy. But I want to know, like, are you recovered from the provincial championship?
Almost.
Okay.
I think what I love about emceeing is how, one, I think it's easy as I'm doing it, but then right soon I leave the tournament and I get to my hotel room or I get home and I can't walk because my legs are so tired, or I can't talk. And so that's when I know it's a good event. So my body's getting back. I'm bouncing back.
Sydney, I was kind of fine on Sunday. Like, my voice was a little bit rough or whatever. I woke up yesterday and like I couldn't move. Like, I could move my arms and stuff, and I could sit up if I used like my stomach muscles, but like I couldn't, like my back and neck were just completely messed up. I don't know. Like, it's much better today. It's just like a little bit of back pain, but I'm like, I don't know. It's that event took a lot out of us, but it was absolutely worth it, because I don't know if I can't remember the last time I had that much fun at an event. It was a blast. It was so cool. The lights, everything. I don't know. It was just fabulous. So that's what we're here to talk about. So Sydney, I want to know, what impressed you most about provincials?
One, how amazing this new venue was. That was so cool, because we had like the regular seating and then there was the upper seating. That was really cool when that opened up on Sunday. But I think something that impressed me the most was just the amount that the teams were getting interested in who our volunteers and alumni are and what they can learn from them. Like, we had that amazing grade 12 and alumni social on, I think it was Friday night. But then there was teams like 4951, the CDS Cyclones. They have an amazing mentor, actually brought me into their pits and had their students ask me as many questions as possible about like post-secondary, what work is, what's life like in a STEM field, and just so many questions. And I loved it so much, just taking advantage of every possible resource to learn new things, and these sheer amount of opportunities that were available to students, and they actually took it. They took all the opportunities they could to learn more. And I'm impressed, because I know 15-year-old Sydney had no idea how to network or even what questions to ask. And so the fact that students had questions on hand and were just really interested and excited I loved it.
It was that's so cool, Sydney, that folks were learning. And I know that alumni social was a blast. It was just kind of cool seeing everyone together, having a chance to actually socialize at an event with a little bit less stress. Like there's no like, you know how often like you're socializing in the queuing line and that sort of thing, but like you have a match in 5 minutes and it's like go, go, go. So it was really nice that there was a little bit of downtime. And I think people really appreciated that. That was cool. And I'm glad that you got some time to spend with the CDS Cyclones in their pit. That's pretty fun.
Oh yeah, great team. I can't wait to see what they do next.
Rachel, you were at home watching the webcast. Was there anything that really impressed you from watching?
Yes, I loved every single game that was displayed, and I was just getting really hyped in front of the screens every time a match happens. And I also have like the Instagram chat with some friends, and we were just like chatting back and forth about the matches and what we think about each game were.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. That's for sure. Sydney, was there anything that really surprised you throughout the weekend?
My thesis topic for this essay is team spirit. So there was many ways that team spirit was just ridiculously awesome at this event, because I think the stands were so full of scouters and people watching. However, this year it's after COVID, we have even more teams. We have people in the public, we have family members coming. And so everyone was cheering even throughout qualification matches on day one, which is something really surprising. Another thing that was surprising, how many students are incorporating string art and knitting into team spirit. Like 2708 always knits hats. They have their knitted buttons forever now. But then we have Rhodey from 6978, the giant snake that was knitted, or I don't know the method, but amazing. But then what really surprised me was how team spirit is evolving into something past the stands. Students are making social media posts and videos showing their team spirit throughout the event center. For example, I know like 7558 had a pair of glasses they had people wear and they took a picture of them wearing. And team 7659 had the lightning bolt headbands, and anyone who liked them got a pair of them and they took a picture and put that on their social media. So just though it surprises me how much technology is influencing something such as team spirit that I didn't know it could. And I'm really excited to see how much further team spirit expands past the students cheering in the stands, which I still hope happens in the future.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's like, we always talk about the technology evolving on the field, but it evolves in other ways too. So that's really neat. Rachel, anything that surprised you?
I love Karthik when you do the opening ceremony of each like event. I saw it on the Instagram of you like doing the kicks. And then it was very amazing because it's just so spirited. And I was like, although I was at home, but I was also following the event, and it was just so amazing to see how, it could be like live and I'm still like following you, and was very animated.
It was a lot of fun, bursting through that banner each year and then coming up this time with all the smoke and from the dry ice and the sparks. Pretty freaking cool. It felt like I was on a cloud almost. It was a great, but like, what motivates me for all that was just how intense the crowd was in that moment. And it was just like, whoa. It was a great show. Our teams really put on a show this week, both on and off the field. It was very, very cool. Cindy, was there any sort of strategy that caught your attention?
Yeah, I saw a lot of successful alliances going for the cooperation bonus and relying on scoring as fast as possible, just filling up that grid during matches rather than focusing on defense. Because like if they had some really speedy bots, then maybe they would have one play defense, but there was a lot of confidence in scoring ability. And I think we may say a little bit more of that at champs. So just prioritizing that scoring over blocking, especially with that new double point update, that's going to be bonkers. Because like if your team is Roadrunner fast, then it doesn't really matter how much your opponents play, because you can still hit that 193 before them and then focus on defense. And then at the same time, we saw a lot of robots playing defense and then getting in the way of their own teams. So I think we'll see what happens.
I really like that this game has shifted to more offense than defense. I've never, you know, defense is cool and all, but I'd rather see teams out there to do what the robot's designed to do and score. And I think that it takes away those awkward conversations of like, hey, me and robot B are gonna play offense and we want you just to play defense. And then you're kind of like, but I want to score too. But now it's like, no, it's yeah, like almost every alliance in the playoffs was 3 robots on offense. And I think that's really cool. I think that's more fun. I think that's more what robots are designed to do. And so I'm always a fan of a game that I think teams should always do the most strategically appropriate decision. And in many games, the most strategically appropriate decision is to have someone play defense, which can be a bummer. And I like that this game really incentivizes triple offense, especially with these new rule changes at championship. I think everyone's going to be flying around their scoring. And I was really worried that we might see some amazing alliances at championship that fill the grid with like 30 seconds left. Or in California this past weekend, there was the 254-1678 alliance apparently filled the grid with 45 seconds left. And then I was worried that we'd see 3 robots going out to play defense afterwards, which is not what you want to see. So this gives something, the entire match is going to be filled with action. And that is fabulous. So I'm excited about that. Another question for you, Sydney, and I think you're very well tuned to what teams are up to. I've always appreciated that you as an MC, like you're well tuned to like what they're up to off the field, and you notice like a bigger picture. Did you see any moments of gracious professionalism?
Can I tell you one thing well, I guess that was the question, to tell you one thing. But something that I absolutely, it struck my heart was during awards ceremonies, Manitoulin Medal won Impact. And it wasn't just everyone clapping. 4152, the Hoyas from Huntsville, screamed so loudly, and it just warmed my heart. It was like northern teams supporting northern teams, and that's really,
Yeah,
it's just
I,
GP. It's great.
I think people were really, really happy for Manitoulin Medal. And so it was kind of like they were the only team coming into the event that had won a district first impact award and a district engineering inspiration award. And then seeing them win their first district championship first impact award was like, wow, that was a cool moment. Like obviously it was cool for 772 and 439 as well, but they've won at this level before. They've been perennial contenders. So seeing a new team break through, and wow, when you watch that video, it's like this is a totally deserving team. The judges really got this one right, and it's always cool to see someone new break through. So that was cool. And Manitoulin Medal's been doing a lot of cool stuff for a long time. And you know, Sydney, I know you see them a lot because you do the North Bay event every year, and they're always at the North Bay event. So that was pretty cool. I think
I was just buzzing.
there you go. There was a lot of gracious professionalism throughout the week, but what I thought was kind of cool was before the finals. Remember, we had all the teams march out through, you know, for their sort of parade thing. So all 6 teams were in a very small contained space together, you know, but you couldn't tell that they were about to be opponents in the biggest matches of the season. They were all just kind of chilling together and hanging out and chatting. And like at one point we brought over like some popcorn and some snacks for them. They were all just kind of mingling with that and sharing. And it was kind of cool to see that like they're about to play in the biggest matches of the season and like the most intense matches of the season. And boy, well, we're going to show you 2 of those matches in a bit. They were super intense, but everyone was just super friendly in that. And then the other thing, and we'll talk about this when we get to the match videos, but there was a very controversial call in the finals, match 3, and there was a red card. And no one's happy about a red card at all. But I was so impressed with how the Science Alliance handled themselves in that moment with a lot of professionalism. And I was really impressed with the Technology Alliance of not being super boastful or, you know, they were just like, they went over and I saw them say, hey, man, I'm really sorry. We didn't want it to happen this way. We didn't want to see you, you know, and everyone was just really, really respectful and cool. And that's sportsmanship. That's gracious professionalism. Like gracious professionalism, part of it is handling defeat in an honorable way, but also being proud of your victories, but not doing so in a way that's diminishing your opponents. And so I think it was handled really well. And then I thought the referees handled it. We'll talk more when we get into it.
Mhm.
It was a really hard situation, and it's a bummer, and no one wants to see a red card decide the final match. But I think it was handled as well as it could have been, which is really pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
On that note, folks, let's dive into our provincials recap. But before we do that, let's take a look at a word from one of our sponsors, Honda. All right, we are back, and now it's time to talk about the provincial championship. Hey, Rachel, Sydney, come back. I don't want to be all by myself. There you are. Okay, I was like, oh, where is everyone? Where'd all my friends go? Where'd all my friends go? So let's start off by taking a look at some of the stats from the event, as we've been doing every week. And wow, this one was wild because let's just wait till they come up and we'll see. So once again, let me get my handy marker out. Ontario is fortunate to have what I think is the best team in the world, Team 2056. They are well out here on their own. And then you might be saying, well, Karthik, if they're so well out there on their own, why didn't they just dominate in the playoffs? Well, that's because there are a billion really good other teams in Ontario. And these teams, remember before, like our bar, when we would show these graphs, kind of end at 40. But like all these teams are past the 40 barrier here. All of them. There are so many good teams in the province. It's just, yeah, like 4678 and 3683 are like the next kind of tier. But then like here's 1325, 4907, 4039. This dot right here is 1114. Like it's just like so many strong teams. Now you might be asking, well, if Ontario has so many strong teams, how come the grid was only filled twice? And how come no one even topped the high score McMaster? And I will explain why on our next slide as I clear my scribbles. So let's jump to the next slide. Here are the top 10 teams at the event via the EPA stat, which is a pretty good stat. It's a pretty good stat. 2056 is clearly well above everyone else, but the other 9. Sydney, do you notice anything about these 10 teams?
Oh, they're absolutely amazing. Tell
They
me more,
are.
Karthik.
I will tell you more that of these 10 teams, only 2 ended up on the same alliance. Everyone else. So we have 4678 here, and they were paired with 4946. Shockingly, these 2 won the science division. Every other one of these top 10 teams was not paired with another top 10 team. Normally, it's always like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and whatever. But 2056 had 2200, who's not on this list. 3683. EPA stands for expected points added. It uses a little bit of linear algebra and the ELO system to try and calculate what a team's typical contribution is to a match. It's very similar to the OPR stat, which is OPR, which is more aptly called calculated contribution, which is very commonly used. It's something that Ian McKenzie and I invented in 2004. OPR is a better backwards-looking stat. It looks at what teams have done, while EPA is a better forward-looking stat at predicting what teams might do in the future. Because EPA looks at more than just the matches that have happened. It looks at past performances. Like at the start of the season, it wouldn't be a surprise if I said, hey, 3683 is going to be really good. That wouldn't surprise anyone. But the OPR stat doesn't look at any of their past performance. But regardless, it's a good way of ranking teams, a better way than just looking at the normal rankings. But 2056 didn't get with anyone on this list. 3683 didn't get with anyone on this. So all these teams weren't with another top 10. Not that they weren't with great teams, because if we look back, there was more than the top 10 was great in Ontario. But this split really opened things up. And that's why we saw some of the most competitive playoff rounds we've ever seen before. There, at any given point, no one knew who was going to win a match. It was just like, it was you go into some match events, Sydney, and it's just like, oh, well, number one's going to steamroll here, and we know what's going to happen. That was not the case at all. For example, again, the 2056 Alliance, they got sent to the lower bracket right away by a
Also,
rookie team.
2056 was Alliance 2
Two.
captain. Waffles
right.
was number 1, and Waffles isn't even on this list.
Yeah, and so and the Waffles normally probably would have been, but they had some really weird technical difficulties. They had gremlins that they were chasing in their wrist with the encoder all weekend long. There were a lot of teams that were chasing gremlins. I know 5406 had some random issues. 1114 didn't move in their first 2 matches, not really ideal for this sort of thing. But 4678 on the flip side was just super consistent. 4946 maybe had the most consistent performance across the event, and no surprise that they ended up in the finals. And also because so many teams were doing the sustainability bonus at this event, it was almost like the rankings were more determined by the times you slipped up and missed the sustainability bonus. And so I think that made the rankings a little bit weirder than we'd normally expect. It was just such a competitive event. It was really, really cool. So now let's jump into the matches we want to see. And we're talking about our finals. So we're going to start off with final match 2 in the grand finale. So we have our science division winner. Science division winner was 49-46, 46-78. And let's not start the match yet. Let's hold on for 1 second. Don't start the video yet. 49-46, 46-78, and then 87-29. The Shark team, Sydney, chomp. Against the Red Alliance of 2056 and 2200, who won the Newmarket event together, and then 4992, who won McMaster with 2056. So some commonalities here. This was like a super well balanced. Blue won the first match. We're coming to the second match. Red knows they have to step it up. And let me tell you, the Science Alliance in red really stepped it up. So let's just watch this match. And I gotta say, like, have your head on a swivel for this match, because the scoring just happens so quickly. Like right away, 46, like every alliance, they're doing double scores in auto. Maybe we'll go for 3. 2056 is going for 3. 4678 is going for 3. 4678 gets their third. 2056 gets their third. Oh, it's like, 4678 just gets it after auto, but like,
They move so fast during auto too that you don't even think that it's auto.
These are like perfect autonomouses, and the scoring just goes. And so right off, technology starts out with an early lead. 49-92, you watch them. They're just delivering game pieces in the zone to make the cycles a little bit shorter for 2056 and 2200. So that's a cool little move there.
Every robot has a place.
Red Alliance is just firing. 87-29, dropping in some extra ball. They're doing some shuttling as well, trying to get them in the low, but if they don't get them in the low, someone else is there to score them. Playing a little bit of strategic defenses, 87-29. So they're playing a little bit of a hybrid role here. But watch the Science Alliance go. They've already finished their top row. And guess what, folks? They're ahead. They're in the lead right now. 3 links all across the top. And this continues right here, and just back and forth. 49-46 was by far the most improved team at provincials compared to the regular season. Like 46-78, we knew what they could do. 2056, we obviously knew, but 49-46 really surprised a lot of folks, and they just keep motoring on. I was just really impressed by this performance. And guess what, folks? 50 seconds left, and it looks like they've all 46-78 is going to finish the middle row for red. So they're only 6 game pieces away right now from finishing the grid. And Science's lead just keeps going up here. And if you notice on the Technology Alliance, their grid's a little bit messy. It's not the cleanest right now, while Science's is perfectly clean. And so this lead keeps going here. And now 2200 and 4992 go up to balance with 22 seconds left, but like you're down by a lot. And I thought this move to balance this early, I think was a little bit, and 2056 is going up with 10 seconds. Like you're down by 19 points here. You're not going to get this unless they Science blows their balance, and Science isn't blowing their balance, and Science has got the triple balance. And guess what? A full grid. They got everything.
Fantastic.
Look at the, oh, I got my pen back out here. But look at this right here. They're all celebrating. They're like, yo, we did this. And our final score comes up. Science takes it to tie it up 1-1. High score of 192. Take away the 5 penalty points, and we get a score of 187. That means they missed a mobility and auto of 3, and they missed 2 in, oh, my drawing went away. But yeah, so they were 3 things away from the perfect score right there. So that was just absolutely huge. Now it's tied 1-1. And at this point, if I'm a technology alliance, I'm like, oh, I need to have a perfect grid. So let's take a look at what the grids looked like. Well, Science's grid is like, hey, this is what we call 100, baby. It is like, that's kind of like, looks like the emoji, right, Sydney? Did I do a good
Oh,
emoji?
it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you. Perfect grid here. And you see, like, there's a Science technology grid's a little bit messy. So just, you're not going to beat the perfect grid with a non-perfect grid. You know, well, I guess you could with balances and such. So the pressure is on technology right now. So let's go take a look at what happens in match number 3. And this is like, we hadn't played a third match because both divisions didn't go to 3. So it's the same teams, same lineup. Let's go hit it.
Spirits rising, tensions are high. Who's gonna win? Ah.
There we go. 3, 2, 1, go. Autonomous is going, and similar stuff is happening. And everyone's going to make sure they get that balance. And so pause right here if we can, Heather. Pause right here if we can. Auto is over, and we have, let me get my pen. 49.92 is balanced. That is good. Red Alliance does not have their charge station balanced. So that is 12 points they're missing, and that is big. 729 is over here when they should be over here. So that puts Science down right now. And those are points you can't get back later on, because we're seeing at this point, no rule changes have happened. There's a max score you can hit. So you need to be as close to that as possible. But they've lost 12 right there. So Science is playing from a hole. Even if they fill the grid, they still could lose this match because of those 12 points. They could actually, technology could be missing like 3 game pieces and still win this. So it's this is tight. So let's go jump back in and watch and clear my drawings. There we go. Right into this, and 2056 already grabbing another game piece. They are so fast. 2200 blazing around the field. And 8729. Keep your eyes on the middle of the field, folks, because that's where the action is going to be. I know that sounds weird because all the scoring is happening in the grids, but keep your eye in the middle of the field because that's where this all happens. Science has tied it up. Science has tied this up already, despite missing that balance. So that just tells you, like, the Science Alliance was the higher powered alliance at this point. They had more scoring potential. Technology is now pulled into a lead. And keep your eyes on the middle of the field. Watch how quickly the robots are zipping around the middle of the field and just zipping past each other. This is what's called foreshadowing, folks. And they're zipping. There goes Cybercavs, there goes 2056. There goes 2200. They're just missing each other. It's like watching the hyperspace lanes on Coruscant, it's just like they're flying through there. And now 2200 goes by really quickly. And watch
soon
out,
the force
folks.
will be too much with them.
Yep, and boom, right there. It happens. 4678 just accidentally tips 2200. They hit them once. They got them quickly going over. It was like instant. And then within a split second, they hit them a second time. And according to the rules for G206, the blue box specifically says, if you hit a robot that's already started to tip, and they go over, that is going to be a foul. And it's hard because like it happened in less than a second. It was a split second sort of thing. 4678 didn't mean for 2200 to go over. They didn't want it to go over. Absolutely not. But they did. And it just was brutal. It sucks. This is not the way you want it to end. So obviously the referees had a big discussion right there. You can see the referee being like, hey, he tells me, he's like, hey, this is going to take a minute for the score. And the score did not come up this quickly. This is some editing here. But there is a final score. If we can just pause it right here for a second. We see 185-0 because there was this red card, which automatically zeros the score. If you add this up, this all would have been 174 for red. So you'd be like, oh, technology would have won it anyways. But if there was no tech foul there, the 12-point tech foul, then technology's score would actually be 173.
Wow.
So it was close. It was tight. As I said earlier, an amazing amount of gracious professionalism by both sides in handling this. Our district head ref, Praneet Trivedi, was just a star in this, talking to the teams before the score went up, went to the question box to make sure everyone was heard, because no one wants to be in the question box while covered with confetti. That would have been really awkward. In chat, it's Crayfish 784. They may have had 173, but 2200 also had a cone. 2200 would have scored more game pieces for sure. But match could have gone a lot of different ways from that. So I was thoroughly impressed with all the teams and their gracious professionalism, how they handled it. 4678, especially. That's a hard one, having that red card attached to your name there, but it was really thing. So let's go look at what the grids looked like, and we can see where this was. And I think this will reflect on why I specifically was so disappointed that a robot got tipped over, because we might have seen something very special in this if we take a look at that slide. So science had everything filled except for one spot. Technology had a very clean grid this time. Remember, Sydney, we said it was a little bit messy. They adapted, and they were missing 4 spots here.
Now, something that I've always been interested in looking at this grid, what do the green boxes mean?
Scored in auto.
Perfect. Thank you.
So that means that the science had, so 2056 always does their 1, 2, 3 in the same column. And then this is 2200s here in auto. And then we have, this is where 4678 was, 8729, and this is where the Alpha Dogs were scoring. And so they needed 4 here. Could 2200 have done 4 in those 50 seconds?
We'll
Maybe,
never know.
might have been close. Maybe they would have, it would have been very, very close. But the Red Alliance was still missing their 12 from auto, which may have been the decider, but it would have been much cooler if we were on this show today talking about that 12 from auto instead of a tip. And it's hard. I think a lot of teams got tipped this year. A lot of teams got red carded for tips. Some teams didn't get red carded. I don't know. Our referees, I can't say enough about the referees. They have to make these decisions based on something that happens in less than a second. It is like a literal split second thing. They're not allowed to look at video. We have video that we can watch. I got home, and once the video was up, I watched that tip 30 times. And only was when I went to slow motion did I see the double tap. But the referees saw the double tap in real time. They're amazing. Amazing. The folks we have here in Ontario, just some of the best in the world. I wouldn't want to have any refs other than ours. So it was great. But regardless of that ending on a downer, I think we can all recognize that both alliances out there were fantastic. And congratulations, team 2056, 2200, and 4992. 4992, that was their third blue banner of the season, third blue banner of all time. 2200, I believe that was their 8th blue banner, third of the season. And then there's 2056, their 4th time winning the provincial championship. They've won it in 2017, 18, 22 and 23. And remember, we didn't have one in 20 and 21. So the only time they didn't win one was in 2019 when they were division champions still. So 2056 has been raising the bar. But can I just say, I am so excited for the first championship in Houston, specifically for our Ontario teams. We are sending 24 teams there, and I think we could see any of those 24 on Einstein. We won't see
For
all
sure.
24 of them, but like I wouldn't be surprised if we had at least 3 robots on Einstein. I wouldn't be surprised at all. If you told me we had 4, wouldn't be surprised. If you told me I had 5, wouldn't be surprised. If you told me I had 6, okay, then I'd start to get surprised or whatever. But I think there's more than 6 who are capable of it. It's just like how alliances are going to break out, how they're going to break down together. And man, if we get 2 of these Ontario teams onto the same alliance, like imagine we get 2056 and 3683 on the same alliance. Imagine we get 4907 and 1114 who were on the same alliance last year. What if it happens this year on the same alliance? What if we get 4476 and 4946? Let's just get all the 4 robots together. There are so much. Sorry, Cindy, you were asking a question. I just started babbling.
Oh, yeah, no. I was thinking, as someone who's never been to Worlds, what does it mean to play on Einstein?
It means, so you know how we had our grand finale, Sydney, where the top 2 alliances played? Einstein is where all the division winners go to play. So since there's 8 divisions, all will have 8 alliances go to Einstein, and they'll play their own double elimination bracket there. So it'll be the 8 division winners. And yeah, it's like the best of the best of the best. And it is so cool. So basically, you play qualification matches all day Thursday, all day Friday. Saturday morning, like we did, you come in and you have your alliance selection first thing in the morning. They don't try and interweave them like us because we're cooler. They do them 8 separately on the divisions. And then they play, this year it'll be a double elimination bracket on each field. And then those 8 winners will play a new double elimination bracket in the afternoon that everyone watches at the same time.
That's cool. Amazing. I can't wait for all of our teams to go to Houston, especially our teams that have never been there before, because I believe we have some that qualified that have never gone. And I hope the world is ready for what Canada can bring, because we bring more than snow. We also bring some amazing robots.
Sydney, Rachel, what do you think Ontario is going to be bringing to Worlds?
I think we're going great. I think I will definitely be tuning in for the World this year. I'm very excited.
Yeah, and that's right. 24 teams from Ontario are going. So that is very, very exciting. I'm just scanning through chat here to see what other things folks are saying. Fingers crossed. Let's hope. Yeah, it's going to be really, really cool to see. And Rachel, you got like a leg up on all of us because you watched provincials via the webcast. So any tips for people who are watching at home on the webcast?
I would say just, watch with a friend, because like by yourself it's kind of lonely, although we have the amazing host Karthik, but it still feels sometimes like very lonely. So make sure you grab your phone and start like conversation with your friend, or a person who never really been introduced to robotics. Just that hey, we can do something fun like a social event right now, and you want to tune in, and then just start the live stream on the spot.
I love that robot watch party.
Yeah.
What kind of snacks would you bring to a robot watch party?
Well, you first, Rachel. What snack are you bringing?
Popcorns.
Popcorn's a good one. I am going to bring gummy worms.
You're bringing what?
Gummy worms.
Gummy worms.
Yeah, Rachel's bringing popcorn.
Yeah.
Sydney, what are you bringing?
I think I'm going to bring Oreos, because we did have some pretty cool Oreos.
We had a lot of Oreos this past weekend at the scorer's table. That was pretty good. I'm also going to bring those little Jello pods that we had. They're like, Rachel, have you ever had those? It's like jelly with a little bit of coconut in it, and it comes in a little pod.
I think, but I don't.
They were so good.
The same kind.
Yeah, it was very, very good. Yeah, My recommendation is definitely with your friends, have a group chat going. I enjoy just chat, so you're chatting about all the cool matches. And just a shameless plug, the First Champs live feed. If you aren't sure what division to be watching, if you watch First Champs live, we're gonna be covering all the best matches from across the way, and check that out. Or obviously keep your eyes open on your favorite Ontario teams and Canadian teams. Oh, some people are saying Fritos barbecue hoops. Okay, Fritos barbecue hoops are like one of my favorite snacks. They are up there with Hickory Six. Some people are saying some Coke. Some people are saying salt and vinegar chips. I'm really hungry right now. I need a snack right now. This is going to be good. Yeah, it's going to be good. So thank you everyone for coming on. I think that kind of wraps up provincials. It gets us going for worlds. Everyone, check out Team Update 21. It's a massive one. It may be the biggest team update that we've ever seen. And folks, we will be back not next week because we'll be at Worlds, and not the week after because we'll be recovering from Worlds. But May 2nd, we're going to be bringing on all the top Canadian teams from Worlds to talk about that. And hopefully, folks, we're bringing on a brand new Canadian World Champion or Impact Award winner or Engineering Inspiration Award winner, any of the above, because there's a lot of cool stuff in there. And before we go, we do need to recognize that. Congratulations to our rookie all-star winner, Team 9062, the Critical Circuits. Doing so much outreach as a rookie team. They had people volunteering at provincials, was fabulous. Team 1241 winning the Engineering Inspiration Award at provincials. 1241 has always been one of the top outreach teams in the province. They didn't submit for the first Impact Award this year, but they were recognized with the Engineering Inspiration Award, which is really, really cool. One of my favorites. And then our Impact Award winners, Sydney talked about Manitoulin Metal, Team 6865. But of course, Team 77, who?
772.
That's right, with yet another first Impact Award for them. And Team 4039 Makeshift. So Canadian teams will be represented all across the board this week. So everyone, it has been a great show. Stay safe. We'll see you back here May 2nd. But remember, let's all get together, cheer on all our teams at the championship event. And for those of you who are going, come say hi. And for those of you who are watching on the webcast, enjoy the stream. All right, everyone. Have a good night. Bye, folks.